Hi, I'm Shad.
And I'm Tam. We're Forever Honeymooners. Welcome back. Today the question is, what about the in-laws? Stay tuned. So Shad, you know I got a story, right? So I knew this couple. The man loved his wife dearly. However, her mom and dad lived right around the corner. And not only was mom over their house every day, but mom would walk in without knocking or ringing the doorbell. Now, of course, daughter was okay with it, hubby not so much. It kind of began to be a burden on him. There was no real boundaries, no leaving and cleaving, so to speak. And I thought it would be a good idea to talk to our honeymooners about in-laws. What about the in-laws?
So, what is our first point that we can share?
I think the first point that we can make is that it's important for each party to require respect from the in-laws. If it were your mom or dad, then it would be you to address your mom and dad and say, hey, mom, dad, you have to respect my wife. And if it were me, I would have to say, mom, dad, you have to respect my husband and his wishes. And once they see that we're both unified on the subject, that we are going to have each other's back no matter what, then I think most parents, if they're reasonable, will give that respect to the other spouse.
Yes, I believe they would.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they would. They should anyway.
What is our next point that maybe we can discuss with the honeymooners?
Well, one point that I believe we can make is that we should not speak ill to our family members about our spouses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we shouldn't go and talk negatively about our husband or our wife to our mom or dad or sister or brother or cousin or uncle or aunt or grandparents, or friends even, So we should try to present them in the best light possible. This is the person that we're the closest to on the planet, and we really love them with all of our heart, and why would we go and put them down to other people? Mm-hmm. So, and if we talk negatively about our spouse to our relatives, then would that make it easier for our relatives to respect our spouse, or would it make it more difficult?
No, it would definitely be more difficult.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's like you go telling something bad, but then when you guys make up, your family still has that bad impression.
Exactly.
And those begin to add up until they see your spouse as the worst person alive.
Exactly.
And the worst person for you when you're probably the best thing that's ever happened to them. Mm.
So that's what we don't want to do, is talk badly about our spouses.
Amen. Another talking point, Shad, and I really want you to address this one, is keep your business to yourself. Yeah, I mean, honestly, keeping your business to yourself has to be one of the main ways to keep peace amongst your family.
If there's ever any issues in your marriage, and you go and you spread that to other people, then that just lets them know what's going on in your home and your business, which they really don't need to know that. And there's really nothing that they can do to make it better. All you're doing is plant negative seeds and ideas in their minds that they can use against you and or your spouse. Mm-hmm. So you're basically giving them ammunition to fight against you and your marriage with. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said a minute ago, whenever you and your spouse are working things out and you're getting closer, instead of those people that you talked to and told them those bad things, instead of them supporting you, they will probably try to pull you away from being close to your spouse and probably try to drive a wedge between you. Mm-hmm. So speaking negatively about your spouse, or airing whatever business or personal things that you have, is not going to help. It's only going to harm your relationship.
Absolutely, Shad. And when I think about it, you're probably divulging some trust that your spouse has placed in you. They expect that level of privacy and connection that is just between you two.
So it's like you're betraying your spouse's trust and you're inviting people unwelcome, actually, into your relationship, into your personal boundaries, your personal space.
Which leads us to our next and final point, establishing boundaries. Now, we talked about the mother-in-law just walking into the house without knocking. And from what I understand, men kind of like their territory and their domain, you know, so to speak. It's like if they want to walk around in their undies or whatever, that should be their privilege in their home. But when you have that kind of dynamic, there isn't that freedom, you know, and I think that's why establishing boundaries is really important in that respect. What do you say?
Yeah, establishing boundaries is good. It's nice to when you can allow people to know what your plans are. If you're planning to stop by, you know, give them a call so they can be prepared for your arrival and you don't catch them off guard, you know. Especially when you're newlyweds, you know, you don't want people just showing up, you know. That's very inconvenient.
Right. And I think it's important too I mean, even the phone calls and how late the phone calls go and how long the phone calls go. You know, I have friend girls, and once in a while when you get off work, I may already be on the phone with them and I'll talk with them for a while, but I make sure that's not an everyday thing or even an every week thing. Some people have really close relationships with their parents, you know, talking to their parents on a daily basis is just a part of their lives. But I think if there's any kind of way that it encroaches on your spouse's comfort level, then it probably should be rethought.
What you really want to do is put the wishes of your spouse first and foremost before other people, you know, because there's no reason to try to please everybody else, and then you have, you know, problems in your home because of it. You know, you want where you live, you know, to be the most happy, peaceful place. You know?
I think it's important to have that love nest, that boundary, but not really a boundary more so as it is just a hub and a protection, that leaving and cleaving thing that's talked about in Genesis, you know. I think God really was onto something when he said that. It makes for a more peaceful life. It's a good example too to your family and your community when you have a marriage that's strong and solid and you guys are unified. They see that nothing gets in the way, that there are boundaries, and that that's Shad and Tam's marriage, or that's John and Janie's marriage, you know. So yeah.
What we want to do is build our home and build our marriages, and, you know, put your wife or your husband first, and then other people, you know, come after. But no one should be before your spouse.
So if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave those below. Please go ahead and subscribe, and if you like this program, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, okay? And as always, remember
that marriage in God's hands is truly a blessing.
Amen. Happy honeymooning.